Hello, everyone. Did you enjoy your dinner? Very good.
He's so much nicer than I am.
Off you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, welcome to Earthmovers 2014. So maybe just briefly, for those of you who are not familiar with Earthmovers, it's really a celebration of, it's really actually the most perhaps important part of us recognizing, celebrating and learning about what the successes of our network.
We have 4 categories for you this evening. We have Friend of Friends of the Earth, which is quite a mouthful. We have Campaign or Project of the Year, Group of the Year, and Friend of the Earth.
And as somebody who's actually on the judging panel, I can honestly say I was really, really impressed with the breadth of work that's going on in the network. And it was also really, really difficult to decide, and actually even more difficult to not tell anybody who'd won.
So maybe we should introduce ourselves.
Yes, we forgot that, didn't we?
Off you go.
So, hi, my name is Anne.
And I'm Declan.
And we are your hosts for tonight.
Before we go any further, actually, I just want to say that this is the coolest lectern I've ever seen. And it's got wildlife in it. There's a beetle crawling about in the lectern. So that's how friendly we are to the Earth. It'll probably get killed later on, but won't worry about that. So before we go any further, actually, we would like to remember 2 activists who are no longer with us. Perhaps if we can have Niall and Gareth up if they're going to speak.
And hadn't you had enough of me today already? Oh, do you want to hold my cider? Yes, thank you. I brought the cider. He brings a cup of tea, I bring the cider.
Well, I'm just here to say a few words about Morgan Parry. And Morgan was a tremendously influential environmentalist. He worked for many, many years in the NGO sector in Wales. He was a former director of the North Wales Wildlife Trust. He was a former director of WWF Cymru, and he then made the unique transition, I think it's fair to say, of going from the NGO sector to chairing the nature conservation body in Wales, the Countryside Council for Wales. And his influence was just staggering. I mean, we're uncovering through Freedom of Information requests some of the very far-reaching influence that he had in the early formative months of Natural Resources Wales, which is the new environmental regulator for Wales. So Morgan Parry, who died at the age of 56, leaving two children, both in their young teenage years, was a tremendously, very harsh blow to environmental activism in Wales, a very harsh blow to environmental governance in Wales as well. Morgan Parry, he had a very strong affinity with Friends of the Earth, and indeed was a former board member of Friends of the Earth. So it's yes, with much sadness that we record the passing of Morgan Parry, and the tremendous contribution that he made to nature conservation and to environmental activism in Wales.
Similarly, we were sad, although unfortunately not entirely shocked, because it did sort of creep up on us that Keith Bradford had gone. They said of the first Norman invaders of Ireland that they became more Irish than the Irish themselves. Keith was exactly that kind of Englishman abroad. He had moved to Northern Ireland in the very early 70s and was there at the very first meeting of Friends Earth Northern Ireland, and that's before I was born, and I ain't exactly no spring chicken. He was a deep, deep green. A wonderful, perfect curmudgeon of a man who fought tirelessly for his adopted County Down. Most of you would never have met him here because he wouldn't have gone over to that country that had spawned him because he was too busy, too linked, too rooted to the land that he had adopted. He was greatly loved all around the area in County Down, and that was because of the work he was doing as coordinator of Friends of Earth Downpatrick for well over 30 years. He just lived and breathed the local environment. He held us all in the Northern Ireland office up to a light that we could not live up to. And just to give you some sort of understanding of how long-serving he was, I was 5 years in post, and he phoned up one day to complain that he didn't want to speak to me because I was still that new kid on the block. He just fought tirelessly against some really stinking stuff. I mean, Down District Council was a stinking council with all sorts of rotten corruption, and he just kept tirelessly going against it. His funeral was a beautiful time where so many people were just there giving so much love to the man, and he's now buried in the county that he adopted and adopted him. And as I said, we're so sad to see him go, but what really heartened me was that those other very long-serving members of the Downpatrick group, at that funeral, when I was really not expecting to have a conversation about that, were cornering me going, right, what are we going to do with this group then? What are we going to do for Keith? And I think for us in the Northern Ireland office, we're all saying, what can we do for Keith? There's so much unfinished business in Northern Ireland as part of our global fight, and the loss of Keith will not be in vain, because we are going to double our efforts in his name. So thank you.
Okay, so on with the awards then. So the first category is Friend of Friends of the Earth, and this is a new category. This is for those allies, friends of ours, those people who are outside of the Friends of the Earth network, but have been working on our campaigns or working with our local groups, working with our activists, and have become very much a part of the Friends of the Earth family.
Okay, so in no particular order, the first runner-up. Yeah, come on. Jen Katan. Is she here? Jen Katan, come on the stage, please.
And the second runner-up is the Pro Wind Alliance, Herbert Eppel.
So perhaps we need to ask, what do you think why you're here? What have you done to be here, to deserve to be here?
I really enjoyed my last 2 years working with you guys on the BCAS. I think that sums it up pretty nicely for me.
I have to point out, I'm not Herbert Eppel. I am his stunt double. Why we're here? ProWar have, in the Midlands, have made a great effort to actually put the other side of the argument about wind farms that you won't hear from the NIMBYs.
And can you maybe tell me some of the highlights of your the work you've been doing, some of the highlights of your campaigns?
I think getting through a wind farm which we're pretty certain wouldn't have happened at all, and to actually see that they're standing, actually generating power now, is quite something. And you're thinking, okay, maybe it would have gone through. But there's been quite a few of those, and not just large wind farms, also ones where individual farmers have needed support, and we've been able to point them in the direction of actually local people who we know are keen on such things. And they can say, we don't mind it.
For me, I think a couple of highlights, probably two stand out. One is the grassroots, the effectiveness of grassroots approach from kind of this maybe unorthodox partnership has brought, where we've had local groups in stores connecting with customers, and I get amazing feedback from both parties on that, and it's been brilliant. And then this past week, the B app that we launched, it's been astounding when it comes to results, and we were really taken back by how many people have used it and how much buzz we created in the media. So that's another massive highlight for me.
I think, Jen, I read your nomination and somebody said that you were the most single, sort of important person in actually making that link with B&Q, and so it's very well done. And similarly, I think the Pro-Wind Alliance is now working across the UK. The only thing I don't understand why they're not working in or not have don't have much support in Northern Ireland, and I wonder if Declan can maybe explain that.
Because we don't want Sassenachs coming over and telling us what to do with our wind.
Quite right.
Okay. What can I say to that?
Well, we have some certificates for you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Fabulous. You can sit down.
Yeah, you can go now. Sorry.
Sorry. And the winner is, so I just wanted to keep you on tenterhooks there. Charles Metcalf and Catherine McWhirter.
Can you please come to the stage?
Have a seat.
Seat as well, my God. We were standing at the back.
You get to sit down now. So, tell me what you've been up to then down in Balcombe.
Resisting the onslaught of the filthy fossil fuel frackers. Or doing our best.
And do you want to elaborate a bit on that? I'm sure everyone would love to know what you've been up to.
You know, I spend my time telling people what we're doing. I'm very happy to. I just worry that so many people have heard it all before. We're just continuing on. We're fighting. They want to drill just under a kilometre outside the centre of our village. They drilled last summer. There was a bit of a party down there on the verge. And we were very grateful to welcome people to Balcombe who hadn't probably been there before, and who stayed for a while. Thank you very much, anyone who was there. And we have to continue the fight. Now they've taken their drill away. Thank you, Tony. They've taken their drill away, but they want to flow test it, and they've got planning permission. So at the moment we're contesting that through the legal system. And our lawyers issued a press release today saying that they're doing this. And so the struggle goes on. You know, the struggle continues, and the struggle has to continue. This is a process that is not going to make anyone much money apart from anything else. It has the potential to ruin our countryside, to harm our health, animal health, bird health, bat health, bee health, you name it. And I cannot understand why any sane politician would contemplate doing this, let alone encourage it. So, you have to fight. And we are hugely grateful for the help that we've had from Friends of the Earth. Legally, spiritually, everythingly. It's been great. And, you know, we rely on the goodwill of people who think straight, who think in the right way, to come to our support. And we are doing our best to support other communities which are similarly threatened. That you have to. That's all there is to it.
Is there anything you would like to add? To have a woman's voice. I'm very keen on that.
Okay. Well, personally, I've been doing the press liaison for Basecamp, and Friends of the Earth has been very helpful, particularly Brenda has been very helpful with that, teaching the very wonderful Brenda. It's turning pink over there. Because although I'm a journalist in a different field, and I was used to long, waffly press releases, and Brenda definitely helped to make me concise. And this happened, that happened, he said, she said. Sorry, I think I've possibly drunk half a glass of cider, so didn't come out quite right. Yeah, very important to say as well that we are fighting this now, not just for Basecamp, but for the rest of the country and for the rest of the world, and very much with everybody else here who's fighting fracking as well. And I hope that the rest of you will, clearly you already know a lot about it, but I hope you'll find out a lot more and will activate people in your own areas, and whatever campaign you're fighting yourselves, that you'll bring fracking into it, because fracking is going to affect bees and climate and air pollution and all those things in a horrific way, not just the local sites, but also the cumulative effect of all those sites around the country, and the cumulative effect of all that waste that's going to be produced, all the flowback water that, I mean, no one the world over knows what to do with the flowback water of fracking, which is generally radioactive and full of heavy metals and brine, and it gets injected down wells. It's water that's been used for that process that gets put out of the water cycle forever. And there's a big issue of water use. Water is such a precious commodity and a precious thing that belongs to us all, and we really can't afford to be wasting it in this way to get the last drops of fossil fuels out of the ground. So, yeah, thank you.
We have a little certificate, but more importantly, for the person standing next to me.
Well-deserved winners there, I think.
Right, so what's up next? Okay. I'm not sure I really need to explain the next category, the campaign or project of the year. So, shall we start with runners-up?
We'll just move straight into it. So again, in no particular order, we have Bee Summit and Bee Cause, Oxford Friends of the Earth.
I like a drum roll. Yeah. Okay. And the second runner-up is Citizen Science Project Birmingham Friends of the Earth. Please come on stage. Congratulations. Welcome to the stage. So again, what have you done to deserve to be here? What is it that you're doing?
Yep. Okay. Well, I think in Oxford it was probably for the Oxford Bee Summit that we did in February this year, and it was a success, I think, locally in Oxford and Oxfordshire. Invited some important people, government representative from the government and the government's advisors on the pollinator plan, and some local activists and members of the council. In fact, the Oxford City leader of the council, and lots of people, really enjoyed the summit, and they talked about it very enthusiastically. And I always think it's like hitting a tennis ball. There's the build-up to hitting the tennis ball. There's the actual event itself, but you've got to do the follow-through. And hopefully we're doing the follow-through now from the summit.
In Birmingham, we're running a big air pollution campaign in the city, and part of that we did a citizen science project where we went into schools across the city and ran lessons and worked with children to put up diffusion tubes around their schools to measure the volumes of air pollution around their local areas, which was a really exciting project for us to kind of be doing kind of education work with children and young people and talking to them about the issue and raising awareness of air pollution, and also to be able to get some kind of results at the end of it and demonstrate what the problem is. And because Birmingham City Council got rid of a lot of their monitoring stations, so we said, well, okay, we'll do it ourselves, and we'll use that as an education project and a way of reaching some other people and talking to them about the campaign. So it was a lot of hard work, but it was really something that we're really proud of and hoping to build on now. So that's good.
Great. Now we'll hear a lot about the great things that you've done. What's your most embarrassing moment?
Gosh, I don't. I should say I wasn't actively involved in this project. We had two amazing volunteers coordinating it.
Well, you can talk about what happened to them. That's
I
fine.
don't know if there are any embarrassing stories. We had some lung costumes designed for our campaign, which we've had some interesting remarks on so far. So some people don't realise what they are. That's that's it, really.
I think how do you follow that? I think the most embarrassing part of say the Oxfordshire Bee Summit, rather than the Oxford Bee Summit, was when the AV didn't work at all from the start of it, and just about the minute beforehand it started to work. So it was like, so that was probably the most embarrassing thing, but it happened in the end.
Thank you very much. We can give you your certificates.
Is it the wrong one? Well done.
Yes,
Right.
thank you to the runners-up.
So now to the winner. And the thing is, I actually already know what's in his envelope. The winner is Wanstead and Woodford, Friends of the Earth. There you go. Either.
In the middle, anywhere you like.
And actually, one thing I'd like to say from the judges is that there were many, many bee campaigns, and many of the bee campaigns are really impressive. But perhaps one thing that makes this one really different is that you maybe can talk a little bit about the pesticide work that you were doing.
Herbicide.
Herbicide. Oh my God! Sorry, herbicide,
That's a common mistake that the press
embarrassing. That's my most embarrassing moment. Out of the way.
We keep trying to correct them, but they still won't listen. About a year ago, on the Bee Cause Day of Action, I think it was the 18th of May 2013, We did a sort of small version of this project in one street that my co-coordinator Anne lives in. So basically, we provided wildflower seeds for all the tree pits in this street, but the residents in the area were already into planting flowers which were not necessarily bee-friendly. So we had fertile ground, if you like, and we then developed this project to go ward-wide. So Sneersbrook is a ward in the London Borough of Redbridge. So we've got lots of bee seeds, we've got lots of participants. We have 200 tree pits that have been planted out of a total of, let me get it right, 1,167, not all of which are plantable. So we've done all right, but we're currently in trouble with the council at the moment. They gave, yes, the council awarded us £2,000 Olympic Legacy Grant for this project. However, we still haven't received the money, and they awarded it in January.
Are we filming this?
And I don't know if you can see the signs over there. They ripped down all our tree signs about a week and a half ago in the high street because we hadn't asked permission to put them up. However, they told us to put their logo on all the signs. So this is not exactly an embarrassing moment. This is a fury moment for us. So that's where we are at the moment. We're in full project, and we're going to win. So that's it. Yeah.
If you had a piece of advice for campaigners here just starting out on a new campaign, what would it be?
If you like to fight, and I do what we did. If you don't want any trouble and don't want to work day and night answering questions for no money at all, don't do it. But it's kind of fun to see what happens when you do a project like this, because it's never the way you plan it. Things never go to plan. That's all I can say. But I think we're going to get there, and we're going to take it to the national press if they don't play ball soon. So they got to watch out.
Okay.
I hope I don't drop this on the train tomorrow.
If you do that, I'll be very upset.
I will be there.
'Cause it-
Okay, what are we doing now? Going to the pub?
That one, yeah. Shall we? No, actually, we have those bottles. We still have 3 left, so we could take them.
Okay, we're on to Group of the Year, which I hope is pretty self-explanatory. So the first runner-up is... No drum rolls? Darlington Friends of the Earth.
Can you please come on stage? And the second runner-up is Torvine Friends of the Earth.
You'll probably notice this evening that Gareth is wearing many hats without actually wearing any hats, which is interesting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we could ask Darlington Friends of the Earth why they're here, but I'm not sure what Gareth is doing here. Gareth, you're not from Torvine.
Yeah, so unfortunately Torvine couldn't be here tonight, so I'm just hoping to be able to field the questions that you're asking, although chief embarrassment isn't likely to be something I'm going to be able to field other than saying, this is pretty embarrassing.
Well, maybe you could tell us about what the group is doing at the moment and just, where it is. I'm sure a lot of people won't even know. Strange Welsh word, what does that mean?
Well, Torvine currently, it has two very large towns in it in Welsh terms. It has Cwmbran, which is 7th biggest town in Wales, Pontypool, which is the 16th biggest, and the thing that formed Torvine Friends of the Earth, they're both slightly north of Newport, was a proposal to put a large housing estate on greenfield land between these two towns, which would make it into the fourth biggest settlement in Wales. So the group was formed and has been fighting that fight ever since. So it's been 18 years, well, the planning application has finally gone through, but some significant concessions have been won by the local group, and they're doing loads of other stuff as well. They're doing bee cores. They're involved with a canal restoration and a whole bunch of other things.
And would the group be optimistic that the changes to the plan and application, for example, will not be quite so devastating that they originally thought, or what's the mood like?
I think the mood is kind of resigned, but also quite positive. It's still going to be the fourth biggest town in Wales, but at least that fourth biggest town will have improved public transport. It'll have improved cycle access. It'll have a significant corridor alongside the canal, so that there won't be any building by that corridor, and it'll have the only known site for glowworms in the whole of this local authority is being protected as part of those concessions. So I think disappointment that finally the planning application has been approved, but some really good concessions have been won.
Okay, and what is happening in Darlington?
Well, there's kind of three words that sum up the way our group work, aren't there, Kendra?
Yeah, they are, and we think that we're present.
We're relevant as well.
And we're active, very active.
So we do lots of things. We always support the national campaigns, but we always like to take them a little bit further, don't we? Like CBE was one, wasn't it?
That's right. We awarded our own CBE award to a local company that provides organic milk and supporting kind of products. And we went to the opening of their wind turbine and awarded them a medal for clean British energy, which was a fantastic affair where the local dignitaries, the mayor, turned up, and we had a celebration to launch their new turbine.
We also supported Meat Free May very strongly. We got quite a few of our local cafes joining in, and quite a few people saying they've changed the way they eat, probably for a lifetime now.
We did.
You have, yeah. So we support national campaigns very strongly like that. We also do things that are very relevant to local people as well. I
think one of our major successes this year was the award of £5,000 from Grow Wild, which was an initiative by Kew Gardens. And they awarded money to our group to plant wildflower seeds, but they also wanted it to have a lasting legacy. And because of that, we knew that we needed to engage with our local community, and so we, as part of our bid, put in that we would run workshops for children, hosting a photographic competition, and putting up an information panel board. And really, it wasn't about planting wildflower seeds, but it's about gathering people together in our community to celebrate a very large green space within our town centre.
And using our sixth form college students to do a baseline survey of wildlife in the area. And they'll continue monitoring this area that we're planting with 1,750 square metres of wildflower seeds.
And we've got 10,000 bulbs to plant in September, so
this is a lot. If you're in Darlington in
September, we'd be very welcome to see you.
Well, could you tell us a bit about maybe some of the highlights, some of the kind of the moments that you really think, wow, that was pretty amazing?
For me, I think building an alliance of local organisations under the title of the Darlington Bee Cause. Because the Bee Cause, we realised it was so popular within our local area, and that people were so encouraged to be part of things. We collected 10 to 12 local different organisations to come together, and it was under that umbrella name that we put forward the St Cuthbert Goes Wild project that we just mentioned.
What do you think is the future for the Torvine Group now?
Well, they've been totally energised. I mean, they have been for years. The planning application brought them together and has carried them through. But they're dealing with so many other different things now. Just yesterday, we heard that Torfaen, this local authority, has formed a pollinator action stakeholder group, and they've been invited to be part of it. And I actually, on the train on the way up, someone got on the train at Cwmbran, which is in Torfaen, and I just started chatting to her, and she said, "Oh yes, if you work for Friends of the Earth." I went to one of their fundraising events, and it was a fabulous event, and it raised loads of money. And she said one of the great things about Torfaen Friends of the Earth is that it's really well respected by not just by the local community, but also by the local authority and by councillors and so on. And I think that really is it's a tremendous strength that many local groups have in their local areas is this high level of esteem and respect in which they're held.
Excellent.
And now on to the winner.
Okay, this is me, isn't it?
It's you, yes.
So the winner is Manchester Friends of the Earth.
Can you all come on stage, please? Oh, there they are.
Looks like we've got a posse coming up.
Look, come back.
I think we need more bales. Can we? Well, is anyone speaking, or are you just going to all speak at once? Or?
All right. Oh, thank you.
Just tell us what is it you've been up to? Why have you just been?
After hearing all those other, amazing groups and what they've been up to, we're a little bit feel like frauds in some ways. But thank you for this amazing honour. Well, we've been, as the other group said as well, Darlington, we've been supporting all the national campaigns. So the Bee Cause, in quite a lot of ways, we've been planting bee worlds, so a few of those, which has been fantastic. And we've also been part of a urban gardening project last year and then this year, which is a 9-day event in the middle of Manchester, and we spoke to thousands of people in regard to the Bee Cause, which was fantastic, and particularly able to encourage them all to make bee-friendly gardens for themselves. And we've also been supporting the climate change campaigns, and I'll hand over to Ali to tell you.
Yeah, and what he didn't mention as well is that one of the campaigns we did on the Bee Cause was actually on top of one of the big shopping centres in Manchester called the Printworks. So we've got a bee garden up there, which was launched by the one and only Bez, which was a highlight. And linking through to Bez as well, Bez was also involved in the fracking campaign in Barton Moss. So he came along and lent some celebrity support to that. We've done loads of work in Barton Moss, helping out the local community, but also looking at the political side. So we realised that Salford Council wasn't engaging with the local community at all on fracking. They basically wouldn't say anything. So we got together a bunch of volunteers to go out and get petitions signed. And in 3 months, we got 3,000 names on a petition. Took that to Salford Council, and that got us in front of the council cabinet. Managed to put the case for why we think fracking is a bad idea and why Salford Council should reject it. Unfortunately, at the end of that speech, which was a 5-minute speech, they just sat there and said, "Right, thanks very much," and moved on to their next agenda point. So we haven't actually heard their point of view yet. So that's our challenge now, is to actually get them to come out and say why they're not saying anything, and whether they should be against it or for it. So clearly there's lots of public support for that. We've done lots to help with that, but lots more to go. Another thing on the climate side is around energy. So Damien, near the end there, he's been doing lots of really good research online, looking at whether estate agents have energy performance information on their adverts. They ought to, but actually more than half don't. And so we did a report with 1010 on that. We launched that, got some media coverage of that, and also contacted lots of local MPs, one of whom's written to all the estate agents in his constituency He's got letters back from them who have now changed their policies to show that information, which is great. We've got other MP who's actually tabled an EDM just now, EDM 70, so get your MPs to sign up to that, calling for action on energy performance information on adverts. And also Manchester City Council is now committed to look at trading standards and see what trading standards can do to enforce energy performance information. So a really kind of small kind of, I would say, geeky campaign looking at information on Rightmove spawned a whole bunch of action and change quite easily. So with a couple of people doing a little bit of work, you can get really big change, which is fantastic. Do you want to? I'll sit down.
Now, I just have a quick question. So if I was to compare you with my dad's local Friends of the Earth group, I would say, you're probably bigger, there's more of you, but there's also greater diversity in terms of gender and particularly age. And maybe, exactly, and maybe, what is it that why are there so many of you? How do you do it?
Who wants to answer that question?
What was the question? I didn't hear it.
Why are there so many of us and how do we do it?
And the diversity.
Just because they're the most wonderful little group in the world. Honestly. But they're all so selfless and dedicated. And I just love them all. They're so hardworking. They're so committed.
Eileen. Yeah. And just to say, I don't think anyone out here can say that they've got more signatures on petitions than Eileen has. Any stall, if we. It's absolutely true. Any store without Eileen, we get maybe a couple of hundred cards signed. With Eileen there, it's twice that amount easily. It's unbelievable. She's the secret weapon we've got. So she's an absolute star. Absolute star.
Well, thank you very much. I'm not sure how we're going to fit you all into the photograph, but we'll try.
You can give me the booze. I'll look after that. I'll look after this.
I think we should get bottles which are appropriate to the size of the group. So the final award is the Friend of the Earth, and it's a really special award. And I think what we're trying to do this year is to kind of acknowledge not just the great campaigning, external focus work that people are doing, but also looking at the internal work. But we'll start with the runners-up. The first one, drum roll. Andy Durling from Eastbourne Friends of the Earth.
And we also have Alison and Chris Austin from Merthyr Tydfil. And Gareth is managing to be two people tonight.
Right. I'm not sure.
I think there's a bee in the microphone.
Yes. The beat calls has been too successful. So, why do you think you're here?
Well, it's I suppose it's because there's so many things I've been trying to do behind the scenes, and I suppose that's why. Because I've been known to be doing lots of scheming and working cunningly behind the scenes. I think what I've been trying to focus on this last year is basically to help build up the capacity of the Eastbourne Friend of the Earth, and also to build up links with lots of other local organisations in town. And I'm very proud to say that I and some of my colleagues in Eastbourne Friend of the Earth have successfully built very strong links. Well, actually, some of us have actually been founder members of the newly emerging transition town Eastbourne, which has sort of exploded onto the scene in Eastbourne. And Eastbourne Friend of the Earth has been very prominent in helping to develop that new movement. And I'm also proud to say that myself and some of the other members of the group have been founder members of Eastbourne Community Energy, which is our own community renewable energy group. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that I feel really happy about that, because it's such a special moment, and it coincides beautifully with the new Run on Sun campaign. So Eastbourne Friend of the Earth will be working hand in hand with Eastbourne Community Energy to really drive through the clean energy revolution in Eastbourne and make it owned by the people.
Can you maybe can you tell us a little bit about what Murphy's been up to?
Yeah, Chris and Alison, tireless campaigners for Friends of the Earth. They've stood up to some. Well, many of us here have been involved with Friends of the Earth because there have been significant environmental challenges in your area. But Merthyr have had more than I think is fair for any community to stand up to. They have had the threat of the biggest incinerator in the UK. And they fought that off with the help of the community, and they mobilised 10,000 signatures. Then they've been living for about 6 or 7 years next to the biggest open cast coal mine in the UK. And this year there was a planning application for an extension to that open cast coal mine to make it even bigger than the biggest in the UK. So they've galvanised the local community, and they put in a 120-page submission trying to fight against that planning application. And in line with that, they undertook, or they masterminded, along with their colleagues in United Valleys Action Group, a tremendous stunt whereby it was branded the Death of the Valley, and they had a procession leading down a march, basically down the valley, ending up at the local authority offices. Including the coffin, and including someone, Terry, who enjoyed possibly a bit too much dressing up as a man of cloth, it was a tremendous event, got lots of coverage. With regard to the open cast, they've taken a case to the Aarhus Compliance Convention on failure to get access to environmental justice. And they're still fighting that case in Geneva, and they're fighting it in the High Court in Cardiff. And Alison is going to be in front of the High Court on the 26th of June, and we're hoping that she's going to finally get a protective cost order, which is what she's been fighting for about 18 or 24 months for, in order that she can fight this evil open cast company.
I would ask about embarrassing things that you've done, but maybe that's not the best question. Do you think what sort of advice can you give to other activists in the audience?
Well, my advice is just have a go. You really do not know what you're capable of unless you try. I mean, I really didn't think I could get anywhere when I first started doing campaigning work with Friend of the Earth, but I was just staggered by how far you could go just by literally having a go, just trying it out. Just don't be afraid to have a go. There's plenty of support. I mean, Friend of the Earth head office staff are fantastic with the amount of resources and help they can provide, and you'll meet some fantastic people along the way in your local area who can give you support and encouragement. And it's just amazing what can be achieved just by launching yourself at whatever campaign really moves you. You know, if you've got a passion for something, just go with it and just give it a go.
I'll not ask you to tell us how awesome the full Cymru staff are, but from your experience as a member of staff and also with working with local groups, what do you think is the kind of the thing that makes or breaks a campaign?
Well, local groups are obviously absolutely crucial. For Friends of the Earth Cymru is running a campaign to get a moratorium on fracking in Wales. We have a Wales Against Fracking Day on the 5th of July, and there are local groups. We've got about 20 local groups signed up to recruit people, to get petitions, to get postcards signed, and they're all going to go off to the First Minister of Wales. So local group involvement is absolutely crucial at every stage, and I mean, local groups say to us, "Oh, you do so much for us." The reverse is absolutely the case. I mean, we as Friends of the Earth get so much from local groups.
And so we're almost done. We just have one more winner to declare. Okay, go ahead. Go on. One last time. So, the winner for, I think, something like 25 years of incredible campaigning is Angela Pooley from East Dorset, Friends of the Earth. But
Hold your horses. We have a joint winner. Karen Leach from Birmingham Friends of the Earth.
Can you please both come up to the stage? I didn't. You don't look like an Angela.
No, I've been working on it, but obviously not hard enough.
So, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, why it is that you've ended up here winning this prestigious award.
To tell you the truth, I'm not entirely sure because nobody's given me my nomination. I have no idea. But the rumours I got were basically, I think it's long service, isn't it? I mean, I've been involved since. I mean, it's not as long as a lot of people, including the lovely Angela, but since I think it was '96 when I first rolled up at the warehouse and just was really grabbed by the infectious enthusiasm and the arguments and the political discussions and the activism and the supporting of the Birmingham Northern Relief Road protesters and all that kind of stuff that was going on. And I was just blown away by Friends of the Earth, and it was the local group stuff, it was the autonomous campaigning and the way that tied in with the national stuff that just really inspired me. So, I mean, it was partly long service. And then I believe it was also for the stuff I've done lately with the Dialogue and Influence group, which was not exactly pleasant, it has to be said, but needed to be done. And as I think you alluded to, local stuff is important. I mean, internal stuff is important. So I think it was those two things, really. But tell me if I'm wrong.
I don't know. I do know the reason I'm here. It's because I nominated Angela. And
isn't this a conflict of interest? Hang on a second.
What, to impersonate somebody that I nominated? Yeah,
she might not even exist.
She most definitely does. I was asked by a member of a local neighbouring local group to nominate Angela. I was very happy to do so, and I was amazed. I've been in my post as Southwest campaigner for nearly 25 years. I looked back through all the files and stuff I've kept about East Dorset Friends of the Earth to see who had been the coordinator before Angela, and there wasn't anybody. I realised that in fact for 25 years this woman has been the guiding light of this local group that has achieved such a lot. And I was really also stunned by the breadth of stuff that she'd done, from bikes to bees to oil and gas to wind farms. She's really excelled in so many different areas of campaigning. So I really felt this issue richly deserved recognition.
In all your long years of service with Friends of the Earth, what has been your favourite moment or your favourite campaign, your favourite stunt, just something that really sticks in your head?
I suppose it's greedy to have two, but sod it, I'll do it anyway. One was when we were talking about, there was the dump the pumps fuel protests going on, where people were meant to boycott the pumps every Monday, and we decided to mirror this with a campaign to dump the pubs, because basically our tax on alcohol is not, it's not spent on more beer, is it? It's spent on silly things like hospitals and schools, and this is totally unfair. And it really is very similar to the fuel protest. So that was quite, I wasn't very involved, but I did a bit of the involvement of, well, I was in the group discussing it in the pub when we came up with the idea jointly, and it was fabulous. The next one was when we had an allotment. Well, we've got some allotments which are under threat from that the land is owned by a golf club, and the golf club wants to build a practice green on there, and they put the planning application in. And on April the 1st, we put out a planning application to turn the golf club into allotments. And apparently, the journalists phoned them up and said, this is what's happened. And they said, they can't do that, can they? We just thought it was brilliant.
I should just say that actually the reason why Angela isn't here this weekend is because she's out campaigning. And they have been involved, the thing that I've been working with them most closely on over the last few months. There's a proposal for a massive wind farm off the coast by Purbeck and the Isle of Wight, where Angela is based. And it's attracting some really vociferous, horrible opposition group. Back in the start of last year, the opposition group decided that they were going to have their own sort of day of action along the seafront at Swanage, getting people to turn out and say what a disaster this wind farm would be, because on a clear day you'd be able to see it. And Angela and her group and mobilised an alliance of groups all across East Dorset and Hampshire, which they decided to hold a counter demonstration. Now, theirs was not as big, but it was respectable. You know, they got 100 people turning up at the seafront on a sort of windy January afternoon, and by doing that, they completely turned the story around. The press were not able to say, this is a story about local residents up in arms about wind farm. They had to say, this is a story that's got two sides, and there are local residents that feel very strongly that it should be supported. Angela's down there this weekend, and so they're organising a bike ride along the promenade in Bournemouth, and they've got canoes and surfers joining them and walkers coming from the other direction, all to sort of engage with people on the seafront in Bournemouth this weekend to get them to register support for the wind farm proposal.
Can I ask, Karen, Angela, what motivates you? You've been involved so many years. What is it that drives you?
On behalf of Angela, having seen what she's achieved, it strikes me that she's found a way of being quietly persistent in an area that is very hostile to some of the things that we stand for. So I mentioned about her opposition to the oil and gas exploration and her support for the wind farm, and this is completely against the prevailing political orthodoxy in Bournemouth, which is ultra conservative, and yet she persists in putting the arguments around climate change and local impacts with such calm, deliberate persistence that it becomes impossible to ignore her. And I think she's won a huge amount of respect. She's now invited to sit on council working groups, and she's on the local nature partnership. And so, despite the having to navigate her way through this often hostile environment that she works in, she's actually impossible to ignore.
Drawing on the fact that a lot of the work I've done lately, I'm slightly embarrassed to be here because my local group knows that I haven't done really anything to help on campaigns for quite a long time, but that's because there's other stuff. We're a strange group because we own a building, so I'm involved in the committee that runs the building. I just do stuff around that. I do some fundraising activities, you know, and there's quite a lot involved in that. And then of course there's the campaigning stuff that I've been involved with in terms of the dialogue and influence group that's about how Friends of the Earth operates and how it involves local groups and how important that is. So I suppose you could get carried away with that and think it's all about supporting just the organisation, and you could forget what's really behind that, which is sustainable development and being fair with the planet's resources and the number of people that they have to be shared amongst and the future. You know, and I think what I've tried to do is always remember that this isn't about just supporting Friends of the Earth as an entity. It's about what Friends of the Earth is trying to achieve, and I think Friends of the Earth is just still the best organisation we've got at doing that, from local to regional, swear word, I know, to national to international levels, and that motivates me that I belong to an organisation that still fulfils that role, and hopefully will carry on doing so.
One by one. That's right. Angela, would you mind coming to the side for a second?
Says Angela, so that's yes. Well, that's pretty much it, or almost anyway. So I think another round of applause for all those fabulous runners-up and winners.